Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by and welcome to Visual BI's webinar. Today, we will be covering Enterprise Self-Service BI Strategy and Assessment. We will evaluate and analyze self-service BI players in the market, namely Tableau versus Power BI versus SAP Analytics Cloud. We will share new and updated findings. During the presentation, all participants will be in listen-only mode. If you have a question during the presentation, please submit it via the Q&A portion of the screen. Simply type your question into the box and click the Send button. Our presenter will address the questions at the end of the presentation, time permitting. If you don't hear an answer to your question today, don't worry, we will deliver answers to you individually after the webinar. The webinar is being recorded and a link to the replay will be sent to you via email. Presenting today are Gopal Krishnamurthy and Varun Anand. Gopal is the CEO of Visual BI Solutions, a firm he founded in 2010 to transform the field of business intelligence and analytics. Varun is a senior BI consultant with Visual BI Solutions. He is certified in the implementation of Power BI and Tableau. He is a consultant, blogger, and subject matter expert in the field of BI and analytics. I will now turn the presentation over to the presenters.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. I wanted to start off with our usual disclaimer about, this is a pure Visual BI presentation, and I strongly recommend you to use the content appropriately because a lot of the content and discussion that we are going to be talking today and sharing is subject to your environment and your data warehouse and your situation. So I just want you to, especially regarding pricing and licensing, we strongly recommend that you check with your respective account representatives from SAP, Microsoft, or Tableau. So I wanted to start off by sharing the agenda today. And we have done this webinar over the last 2 years, couple of times, and we have tried to give you different flavors. And again, even though the topic is somewhat similar, we have tried to bring some more focus around enterprise BI and try to, even though the evaluation criteria is somewhat similar, we have trying to go a little bit deeper on the traditional as well as the modern, and also provide some on SAP integration practices with these three tools, and then make some recommendations on how best to make the evaluation yourself to your own situation. Before I get started, I wanted to introduce Visual BI to, a number of you have been attending our webinars regularly, and today our webinars, the monthly webinars have been well attended, and we have more than 700 registrants, live registrants for this webinar, and I want to thank you for making Visual BI webinars a much sought after one. And Visual BI has become a very premier market player in the space of BI and analytics, principally because of the expertise that we bring in consulting our software products. And lately, number of customers come to us, hey, your consultants are really good. Can you come and train our employees like that? And we have been able to do number of over 50 trainings have been done last year around Microsoft Power BI or SAP Analytics Cloud or SAP Business Objects. Now we are going to be offering Tableau training to a lot of our customers as well. And as a premier partner of both SAP and a gold partner of Microsoft, Visual BI has continued to acquire 3 to 4 customers on an average per month. And you can see we have more than 150 customers that either buy our software or buy our consulting expertise or a combination of training, software, and services. And Visual BI continues to have, trust among a lot of these customers that we are able to gather what we really see in among our customer base, that we are able to share it to a much wider global audience through these webinars. And the focus, Visual BI has been focused principally in BI and analytics. Number of you think because of the name of Visual BI, we do only visualization, and we are talking today about 3 major visualization tools. But as an organization, we make most of our revenue from providing the right strategy, BI strategy, or from all the way to cloud migrations to training and enabling and providing innovative products into the landscape BI and analytics, and driving principally the user adoption. So if you look at it, as much as the name sounds Visual BI, we are kind of an end-to-end BI and analytics enablement firm, and we have been doing most of our work in the back end. We are one of the firms that does a lot of B4HANA migrations, B4HANA strategy, a lot of the Azure cloud migrations to a lot of our customers. So it's just not the visualization tool. To have a successful analytical strategy, you also need a very, very good data management strategy. And because of the combination is where you are going to achieve true success to your BI rollouts. I touched on the products. Visual BI has 3 different software products, and a number of you are very familiar with our Visual BI extension, or VBX for Lumira Designer, which is the #1 reviewed app on the SAP App Center. Some of you have heard of Value Driver Tree for planning, dynamic, agile planning and simulations for executives. And I'm very excited to share that both our extension and the Value Driver Tree is going to get released for the Power BI customers very shortly, hopefully in the next 30 days. And I'm also very excited to share that our Value Driver Tree will be available in Tableau as well. Visual BI has started. While Power BI is going to be coming out in the month of March, end of March, hopefully, Tableau is going to follow suit. And one of the things, as you've talked, we are talking about multiple BI tools, and a lot of our customers have been challenging us as that how do we better manage multiple BI platforms effectively. So this is our 3rd product, and we will be having a webinar later in the month of March about VBI View 2.0. We are going to do a 2.0 release, how VBI View can help you manage multiple BI platforms in your organization effectively. One of the things how we are able to provide this exhaustive study is number of our customers engages, and I'm sharing a case study, where they are challenged with, do we go with Tableau, or do we go with Power BI, or do we go with Lumira or business objects? So we go to the customer and study their individual circumstances, and we are able to provide a very, very customized strategy. And we have done for financial services firm, we have done for a food and beverage firm. So that is where we have been doing this, and more customers are asking us a similar, and they wanted the strategy to be very customized and personalized to their individual business users' likes and dislikes. And this is how, as a company, we have built the expertise, and we are bringing some real world strategic evaluation criterias and evaluation challenges through this webinar, and also share a very generic. I wanted to start off by, Gartner, everybody respects their study, and I wanted to give a different perspective about a 5-year Gartner trend. Everybody saw, okay, Gartner Magic Quadrant, it's an universal knowledge that Microsoft is way ahead on the Gartner recent 2019. It came out last week, where Microsoft is basically up and away. And if you observe very, very closely, and SAP is not in a leadership quadrant, they are more on the visionary quadrant. I wanted to kind of give you a perspective of how the Gartner evaluation is done. If you look at it until 2015, the BI was more traditional and more kind of enterprise. That's where you see Oracle, SAP, IBM, everybody in the leaders quadrant. But then Gartner realized that more and more of the customers are demanding self-service BI platform. So they changed the whole evaluation paradigm. And that's where you could see tools like Tableau, Qlik, or Microsoft started moving up, only them in the leadership quadrant. And you can see over the last 2 years, they have taken it further. It's just not self-service BI, the ability to provide advanced analytics or natural language processing, or provide more augmented analytics, which is what is a combination called self-service as a modern BI. You can see there are some new entrants which we wanted to mention here, which we will be talking about, where some of the vendors are basically now starting to, like someone like Tableau, they are holding their leadership position, but they are somewhat not like really moving up. Qlik is same way, they are holding up, and Spotfire is also another reputed BI tool it's holding its position in the visionary category. It just gives you how the evaluation has evolved. The one thing as a disclaimer, it's Gartner's proprietary quadrant, and I strongly recommend that you read the full evaluation for the relevant context and evaluation. So this is one of the things that I wanted to lead off, is if you look at over the last 25 years, we had Cognos and WebFocus and Crystal being very, very dominant 25 years. And then the world evolved into ad hoc reports, more desktop intelligence and web intelligence. And then Qlik revolutionized with an in-memory visualization. And then Qlik led for a little bit. And then Spotfire really came up with really strong visualization, and it dominated for a while. And then Tableau transformed with much more agile visualization, self-service visualization, and then Tableau has been leading. And then Microsoft came out with the bundling offering of cloud, Azure cloud, and Power BI, and with an Office 365 integration. It really took the lead, and it is still the leader. But when we really look, we really don't know who is going to be the leader in 2025, and we can make the guess, but I can tell you how the last 20 years has been. It's going to be a tough fight, and I wanted to mention there were 3 niche vendors that have some momentum, but we can't concretely say they will be a leader, and that's why we did not consider them. Like ThoughtSpot is making some waves with search-based AI and analytics. Looker is redefining how the metadata layer should be, and then cSense is very strong on embedded analytics. But if you really look at the 3 vendors that are making some moves on the Gartner MQ, they all do one thing very, very well, but not really to consider for an evaluation that it is an enterprise BI platform. Can an organization use just those tools and replace their entire reporting, their applications, their every functionality of a BI and analytics? Can they do it? Probably not. So one of the criteria we used is we looked at our customer base, and predominantly as good as Qlik or Spotfire were, companies were using in addition to a principal platform. So in principle, we found out customers were either SAP or Tableau or Microsoft Power BI. And there is always a wrestle between the departments, but we thought let's do a focused study on those 3, because everything else is probably doing one thing very, very well, not good enough to be a complete a solo enterprise BI tool. That's one of the reasons we opted for 3. Doesn't mean the other tools are not good, but that is the reason, the principle behind our rationale to just go with the 3 tools for this webinar. So we have changed some of our sequences around, because this is one of the constant question we hear from when we talk to businesses. They are in love with a particular tool, but when we talk to IT, they are talking about some of the governance challenges. Or business is on their own going with this tool, but we don't really think it is a good idea. How do we coach and how do we get them, pull them back? So we thought it's best to bring those challenges up front and make people, the best thing we can do is make everyone aware of some of the challenges. And the most important one is, a lot of times, let's say somebody is really, really heavy into data sciences or citizen data sciences, they tend to like a tool, but they don't realize they may be only 2% of the analytical users, but they end up loving a particular tool, and then they think that should be the go forward tool for the entire company. But then companies, you go to finance, they do a lot of internal reporting, external reporting. They seem to be in love with Webby or a Crystal reports where they are doing, but it's not as good as a data scientist tool. So what is happening is you have segmentation of user community. It's not just business users. You have segmentation of user community, people who create content. You have data analysts, you have report analysts, you have more like an IT application developers, and you have power users, you have data scientists. But then there are 80% of the users who are actually mere consumers of information. They really do not care about the tool. All they care about is does it give me actionable insights to actually do my job better or take a decision that is going to help the company meet its objective? So understanding who we are trying to cater to is extremely important. And I think a lot of companies are basically, there is a one powerful power user or one very, very strong data scientist. They are determining the BI strategy, and I strongly suggest that is something that companies have to be cognizant of and try to come up with a strategy that can cater to most of the user community, both the consumers and the creators. I think that is extremely important in the evaluation criteria. The second challenge is we are seeing is a lot of times customers are either married to a tool, either on the data warehouse side or on the data lake side or on the visualization side. We get two flavors. Customers are really hung up on using SAP BW as their data warehouse, or SAP HANA as their data warehouse, or Azure Data Lake as their data warehouse. So they are settled on that. But at the same time, they want it to function very well. It doesn't matter. They want to bring their business, allow the business to bring their own tool. It could be Power BI, it could be Tableau, it could be Qlik, to be able to seamlessly integrate with their data warehouse. This is one of the mixing technologies. This is one type of a challenge we see in customers. And sometimes they use SAP BPC, and then that's their principal. A lot of their reporting happens, and then they say, I want to connect to Power BI to my BPC data, but they are mixing technology. They don't understand the consequence or the challenges in providing a seamless reporting environment. What does it really mean in terms of the strategy? Sometimes we hear a situation where they have SAP data, they have non-SAP data, they have an Oracle data warehouse, they have an SAP data warehouse, they have an Azure data lake, they have something in AWS Redshift, they have something in Hadoop, they have a, I would almost say they have like 5 or 6 different places where they store data, but they want to use only one tool. It could be Tableau. Oh, we love Tableau. We want to use Tableau for everything. So we have basically two flavors that creates an immense challenge because they are mixing technologies. But our strong recommendation is, I think companies should basically settle on either one side and be firm with it for a better outcome. Otherwise, we will have two moving parts on, one is on the data management side and one is on the analytic side. When you have two moving parts, it's extremely hard to come up with a sustainable BI strategy. The third one is, a lot of times what happens is when you're doing a tool evaluation or vendor evaluation, predominantly we see that the evaluations takes place with the spreadsheet data. And it's good and bad, but then what happens is they do a great POC and then they buy 1,000 license of something because the POC, everything worked with spreadsheet. I think this is one of the bigger problem because when they are actually trying to implement, they want to connect to, let's say, an Azure data lake, or they want to connect to their Teradata data warehouse. So that's where a lot of things they have a disappointment. So one of the things is being cognizant of your data sources, user types, and to a real world POC will go a long way towards avoiding some of the strategy challenges. The other challenge we have is, forget about even different companies. Within an organization, you have multiple departments. Let's say one department has gone ahead with Microsoft Power BI and they are in love with it. So, but then finance is already using SAP Analysis for Office or Analytics Cloud, or marketing is heavily using Tableau with connected to the Google Analytics. What is happening is, even within an organization, you have departments that are already in love with a particular tool, which means the change management is going to be that much harder. But sometimes what happens is companies end up taking decisions. Oh, it has worked very well for, say, supply chain. They are doing very well with Tableau. Let's go and roll out Tableau for our finance users too. The same principle, you're going to have a hard change management because the user community, the way their brains, the right brain and left brain function because of various departments and what they really like is different. The same way, just because it worked for a company X, you see a nice case study, oh, they rolled out Power BI successfully, let us just go out and, let's replace and just go with Power BI for ourselves. So please don't make those assumptions and take a tool decision. It's extremely personal. It's you are, what is your existing environment, what percentage of data is in SAP, what percentage of data is in SQL Server, what percentage of data is in Oracle or big data. All that plays a role, and the departmental taste also plays a role in taking a decision. One thing that we are realizing is it's extremely common to have multiple platforms. So if you are really frustrated that this department is using this tool, this department is using that tool, please don't get frustrated, because we see this as very, very common, especially in large organization. 2 or 3 tools, at least 3 tools is very common, common usage, and it's something that I think organizations will have to learn to deal with, because we just don't see how organization, it's an almost like an utopian wish to be in a single tool and provide the user satisfaction to all the different user types. To go deeper on the evaluation criteria, I think it's extremely important. I think I touched on a lot of different things. One of the things that I wanted to share is there are so many different criterias of evaluation. What is your data source? Because I mentioned the data warehouse could be simply a relational data warehouse, or it could be an OLAP data warehouse, it could be a big data, it could be a data lake or a NoSQL. And what is the data acquisition mode that you are comfortable with? Most organization, I mean large enterprises, they do not want their data to be replicated and extracted into multiple from a data governance reasons. So let's say they have a SAP BW. Their preference is the tool should ideally connect live to a BW Bex query or a HANA view without having to do a data extraction or a data import. But there are organizations, they want to truly enable self-service BI. They are okay with the data extraction. So that is the differences. When you do an evaluation, am I doing an evaluation on a data acquired mode or a data live mode? So that is extremely important. Along the same line, how much are you comfortable in allowing the business to do the data preparation and cleansing, bring some master data from an Excel spreadsheet and then blend it with a live data source from your Azure SQL data warehouse. So the wrangling, cleansing, the blending, modeling, business loves it, and that's what gives them the agility and the self-service. But as an IT organization or an enterprise data governance perspective, how much comfortable are you? You need to be able to understand the limitations. The same thing goes on the visualization. It's just not the charts. There are organizations that like a very, very good cross tabs, the table with scorecards, the KPI tiles, the geo maps. A lot of them comprise of visualization. So you can't just say that they have these nice charts and then go with a particular tool. The same thing even on live, is it like direct query, real time? So there are some different nuances in terminologies. When you import, am I importing into an in-memory? Because a lot of times you have an on-premise disk storage, you are importing because you want to bring that into an in-memory storage. So maybe the data extraction is okay because you are taking it from like somewhat of a cold storage into a warm, hot in-memory storage. Sometimes you want to schedule it for performance. Sometimes you want to import because you want an offline dashboards. Understanding those business needs are extremely important when importing a data is allowed, when doing a live dashboards is better. The same thing on exploration. There are different things like infographics, reports, dashboards, applications, storyboards. We will touch on that. Security. A lot of times organizations don't think about security. They roll out a platform and then they say, hey, we have a problem integrating our SAP security with the tool that we have chosen. We have to redo the security. We don't want to redo the security. We want to maintain the security in one place. We have a challenge in rolling out SSO. Now we have to log on twice because they are 2 different technology stacks. Then organizations want to be notified. They want to be alerted, pushed. They want to be on an event-based alert based on how the things. So that is something that is extremely important to organizations. The collaboration, the ability to comment, email, annotate, share. And then last but not the least, most organizations prefer their BI to be mobile first. They want to be able to consume their reports, dashboards, everything in mobile. And if you are going to have a BYOD strategy, bring your own device on the mobile, which means it should be able to work with the web browser, Windows, Mac, iOS, offline. All of these features are even demanded on the mobile. So you almost have to see, you can see how many permutation and combination of evaluation items are there. So that's why this is an extremely very deep and very, very personal topic for every organization. So I touched on the 3 different tools that we are going to be focusing on. SAP Analytics Cloud, it's a fairly newer tool. It was initially launched in 2016, and their latest version is on 2019.4. They used to do a bi-weekly release. Now they are giving 2 options. It's a full-blown cloud-only tool, which means it works only on a browser. There is no desktop component to it. The good thing is it is a full-blown platform in the SAP Cloud platform. So it has a BI module, planning, it has the predictive, and it has app design that is coming up. They have a digital boardroom that is pretty unique. Now on Power BI, its initial release was in 2014, and it is a current leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and it has a desktop component, very, very seamless desktop to the online. They work, you can build it in a desktop and publish it. They work with a similar user interface and the experience. One of the biggest strength of Power BI is how easy it is available to the business users, because it is rolled out with Office 365. So if you look at Tableau, it was released in 2013. By the time Power BI and Analytics Cloud, which are principally more designed to support their cloud platforms, Azure here on Microsoft and SAP Cloud Platform, Tableau was principally a desktop self-service agile visualization tool, and they have built on that success, and they are heavily investing into the Tableau prep and the Tableau kind of conductor that got released recently. The thing that is most important about Tableau is the community they have built, the passionate followers through giving Tableau licenses for students for free, and having a Tableau public environment. They have built a very, very solid following, or I would almost say diehard fans for Tableau, which is very, very good job on there. And when we go a little deeper on each of these tools, more from an introduction perspective, I touched on Analytics Cloud. One of the biggest strength of Analytics Cloud is that it is providing an hybrid BI concept where the tool can connect to your live BW, live HANA, or an universe, where you are on-premise or your S4. The data does not have to leave your on-premise data center. And this is a pure cloud tool. That's the biggest value. And a lot of organizations also have business objects. So they have given out Analytics Hub that can integrate with Analytics Cloud and business objects. So you have one place to go and consume your BI assets. You have digital boardroom, which is a unique concept. But what is most important is there was a tweet yesterday by Garrett. It's Analytics Cloud is in the 4th year of development, and most of the customers ask us this question. So I thought it would be appropriate to put Analytics Cloud has 2,200 customers, because I get this question all the time. Hey, how popular Analytics Cloud is, how mature it is. You can see, and then we have footnoted the SAP's press release from yesterday to give you an idea on where it stands. Right now, you have a 30-day free trial. You can get the business intelligence module for $23 per user per month, and you have the planning users, and then they are coming out with app design. It's not generally available yet, but the app design will be generally available in Q2. And SAP Analytics Hub is a separate licensing. That is something that you can talk, and SAP is working on bringing the Roam BI functionality right into SAC, so that mobile is expected to mature. Now, we do not have the pricing for app design, if you are wondering. So we get this question all the time. Are there really customers using Analytics Cloud in production? One of the customers is KMG Chemicals. We rolled out to Analytics Cloud 2 years back in production, and one of SAP's reference customer also. What we have found out is, especially customers that are going greenfield, an SAP customer that is going greenfield, they had no investments. Usually they are able to adopt Analytics Cloud very, very quickly, and they are very, very happy customers. So it's a very, very successful implementation. And in case you are wondering, I want to talk to a customer that is running Analytics Cloud and their user experience, we are happy to facilitate an introduction to Fricky at KMG so you can get a live customer reference. Coming down to Microsoft Power BI, it has one of the very comprehensive data center from an Azure, because Power BI runs on Azure. I talked about how seamless the desktop to the Power BI web, the Power BI services, the Power BI gateway, hundreds of different data sources. By and far, hands down, it is a leader. And one of the primary reasons why Power BI is ease at which Power BI gets accessed by business and IT. It's bundled with Office 365. We don't have an exact count of how many users are using Power BI, but what we can tell you is there are 155 million active Office 365 customers. I mean, if we have to make a guess, a large percentage of them could be on an E3 or an E5 plan that they get Power BI. So the business user or the transaction to acquire Power BI is less stressful, and also the pricing. So what is happening is there is a very good feeling about acquiring the tool and starting to use the tool. And I think it goes a long way into the customer satisfaction. Whereas if you look at the other tools, they are priced differently, they are seen expensive or perceived expensive. So there is a challenge to it's not able to. So maybe they acquire 10 licenses, maybe they acquire 100. It's not like the whole company has Power BI. So the Power BI has no barrier to entry, and because the tool is also very good, that is one of the reasons within the last 3-4 years they were able to dominate and growing very rapidly. So we touched where Power BI desktop is there, and it is free, completely free. Only if you want to share and collaborate in a thing, it's a $9.99. You can see the simple pricing works magic in the minds. And then for large scale deployments, you can get an enterprise license with Microsoft. You can have the gateways, and you can have a lot of that. You can get some of the additional offerings from Microsoft as well. Again, if you are really curious, for the sake of confidentiality, we are not able to, but a very Fortune 100 customer, it's an SAP shop, but then they decided to build their data warehouse in Azure for a lot of their non-SAP data like Salesforce and some of their call center data. They wanted to use Azure's SQL data warehouse in the cloud, and they wanted to use Power BI for it, and we were able to successfully roll them out, and they are one of our reference customers. In case you wanted to talk to them, you are more curious to learn, we are happy to facilitate that conversation as well. Tableau is something that I said it has one of the very strong user community and following. And one of the things is something that Tableau 2019.1 got released recently, and then they released few new things, especially around the AS data, the NLP, some of the mobile improvements, and the Tableau prep conductor, and which improves some of the things that they were not lacking. But what I wanted to tell you is this does put Tableau one step better with this upgrade. What is most important, the reason why we did not opt for a Qlik or a Spotfire into this conversation, why we had Tableau, obviously SAP and Microsoft are more enterprise, but Tableau we included. I wanted to talk about the customer acquisition rate of Tableau. I mean, I don't have that for Microsoft. Obviously, it's probably the leading one. But if I look at Tableau, if you look at it, they are almost acquiring close to 15 to 16,000 customers per year. Think about 4,000 customers a quarter. So it continues to, we have given you the last 5-year trend for Tableau. It continues to acquire humongous amount of customer base, and that should tell everyone something. And that's one of the reason it has a strong following, and change management is always difficult. So we feel there is always going to be organization that is in love with Tableau, and they would want to use Tableau because they feel it is they have a strong affinity towards it. It continues to think it would always be a strong contender. So I just want you to keep this in mind. When we talked last year, we mentioned some concerns about Tableau pricing, and I think they have done some remarkable changes. They have segmented the user base, and they have gone from a fully like an on-premise pricing to more like a monthly SaaS pricing. Where the developer or the creator that extensively uses the Tableau prep and some of that, it's a different pricing compared to a consumer who's just merely looking at it at 12 bucks an user. Now there is a new add-on for Tableau Conductor, just came out last week. It's separate $5.50 a month. But I just wanted to tell you, Tableau is adapting in terms of pricing, and thanks to Microsoft, I think competition is great for the end customers, because competition brings very, very quick improvements in tool sets. It brings better pricing for customers, and I hope all vendors adopted a simple pricing like this, where everything is visible. I think one thing as an organization, we would like to see all vendors adopt this very, very simple and transparent pricing, because a lot of times companies, you go to website and then you go to the pricing tab, it says contact us. I think especially in the highly competitive BI field, if the pricing is disclosed and much more open, and the features are much more disclosed, because features are already there, but if the pricing is also disclosed across all modules and everything, it would go a long way towards improving the user perception and adoption. Similarly, we wanted to talk about a Tableau case study. We had a customer that used SAP Cloud Platform. They had a lot of their test data. We moved. They had like a lot of 1 billion record. They wanted to put it in an in-memory storage. Visual BI helped them move that into HANA in the cloud. And but the business user, the vice president of quality, he was used to Tableau, so he was insistent that we use Tableau as a reporting tool. So we were able to integrate and Tableau to the HANA Cloud Platform, and we were able to provide a seamless user experience and a very, very successful implementation. I think it was done in less than 2 months. So I wanted to share a case study just to give you an idea the kind of projects Visual BI is doing to bring customers. It doesn't matter what the tool is, but giving the users what they are really looking for. So we are going into the meat of the evaluation. So I've spent the time in setting the stage, and what I wanted to share with you is some of this you may have seen, and all the slides and the evaluation is going to get shared with each one of you. So you're going to get the slides, you're going to get the recording. So I may be going a little bit fast, but what I wanted to tell you is the evaluation is extremely generic, but especially for your environment, we will have to take into account your data sources, your user types, all that. So I just wanted to reiterate that disclaimer. And when we do the evaluation, there is 6 major criteria. One is on the data side, what kind of data sources that we could acquire, what kind of blending and modeling preparation, in terms of visualizations, then in terms of advanced modern BI, and then in terms of sharing and collaboration. So these are the broad aspects to compare tools. So we will touch on data acquisition and preparation now. So what we have done is we have taken, as I mentioned, principally most of our customers run SAP. So we are considering a heavy weightage to SAP data sources, but we do have some big data customers, our Azure cloud customers, and so we have taken that into account. Because of the time in the market and the thing, both Tableau and Power BI are definitely much higher, and we have mentioned where Analytics Cloud is deficient or lacking. But what I wanted to mention is something that to watch out for. Even Analytics Cloud on their roadmap, they are saying that they are going to give another 170 different data sources and acquisition mode. And where Analytics Cloud, even though it is deficient, it's really good at connecting to cloud data sources, especially SAP Ariba, SuccessFactors, and some areas where it has its niche. So that's why I said don't take this evaluation literally. For this category, Power BI and Tableau is definitely one of the stronger tools. Similarly, on the data modeling, and I think Analytics Cloud, and when we did the last webinar, the data modeling capability were very limited, that we were in fact recommending that customers use Discovery. But I think definitely Analytics Cloud has gone past Lumira Discovery in terms of data modeling maturity, but it is still somewhat behind when we compare to the leaders, Power BI and Tableau. When we go to the visualization and exploration, what we have done is it's very hard to rank because obviously the third-party extensions are available. If you really, so what we have done is it's more like a dictionary. You can see whether this chart is available out of the box or not. Let's say, for example, Power BI Polar chart is not available. You can go to the custom visual library in Power BI and you can acquire it. So it's not a big deal. So that's why we are not really scoring the vendors on this particular category. So same thing. We have put on some of the common requests we get for various visualization, and we have said whether the tool has natively or not. Similarly, for maps, we have done the ranking. So it gives you an idea if your business is looking for some feature and does the tool have it out of the box. Now, I think in the previous webinars, we tried to include the visual extensions. This time we just said we will not do it for straight evaluation purposes. And I touched on the different user types. I think the timing is right to introduce different content types. I think this is one place where we are having a somewhat of a bigger confusion because reports are being called dashboards and dashboards are being called storyboards and storyboards are being called applications. I think understanding them is extremely important for user adoption. Storyboards is probably the most self-service, mostly done by business, and it's something that they expect to do very quickly, quickly consume a single data source and then probably do a quick visualization. But then reports, you have ad hoc reports, something like Webby, a power user could actually build it. But it's a little the level of detail. It's not heavy on visualization, but more the level of detail. This is something that we see. So the dashboard is where they want to bring one or two dashboards, but you can see the complexity. As the complexity goes up, the involvement of IT in actually helping it create and build or maintain goes up. Now, there is a category called application, which is almost a multi-purpose where an executive and a manager and an analyst could converge. So it could have charts, it could have drill down reports, it could have crosstabs and scorecards with alerts and notifications, it could have security, all of those. But usually they take, it's not, you can't do it in a day, it probably takes few weeks. The amount of user interaction and the user convergence is very heavy. As long as we are able to clearly segregate the use case, is it an application, is it a storyboard, is it a report, you can eliminate a lot of strategic dilemmas. I think this is one other important thing to keep in mind in the evaluation. So coming down to the visualization, like I said, obviously Power BI and Tableau are ahead of Analytics Cloud, but primarily Analytics Cloud does not have an SDK for charts and visualization yet. But if you also look at the storyboards, all the three tools are very strong. Even a simple reports or a table view, they are strong. The one place where it can change dramatically when we do this one, probably at the end of the year or early next year, is dashboard and applications. I think that's where we are very curious if Power BI is going to start opening up for more scripting and customization and trying to provide that applications use cases, and same thing for Tableau. Analytics Cloud is already doing a beta on the app design, which is a Lumira Discover designer equivalent in the cloud. I think it is coming out in Q2. Since it's not out yet, we still have to give it a kind of, and it's a work in progress, but that is something to watch out for, where it can tilt as a full-blown BI platform, it can tilt what a tool can go, how the future. Coming to the data collaborations aspect of it, I have mentioned we have Power BI, we have Tableau that are again ahead, but you can see Analytics Cloud is a pure cloud tool or a platform. I wouldn't even call it a tool, it is a platform. So there is no desktop component to it. And obviously it's a plus for a lot of organizations that are cloud first strategy, but there are organizations that are still kind of classic organizations where having a desktop tool is extremely important. That's where Analytics Cloud loses out. Coming down to some of the traditional BI or some of the things that IT really cares about, hey, can it have a semantic layer? Can it connect to some of the metadata layers like our SAP universes? Both Power BI and Tableau does have challenges. They have some either workarounds or they have some third-party tools to connect to universes. Same thing, Analytics Cloud is part of the SAP Cloud platform, so it's going to provide a much seamless integration. Whereas Power BI has the Office 365 SharePoint integration, native integration, so that's where it shines. The interoperability, same thing, Power BI is again ahead here. When we look at the live and in-memory, both the concept, I think Analytics Cloud is a work in progress. I think it will get there. I mentioned on the data modeling, both Power BI and Tableau are ahead. When we look at web authoring, that's where Analytics Cloud has an advantage because it's a pure web authoring tool. It doesn't have a desktop component. That's why it's very strong. And I think Tableau with the Tableau extracts and hyper extracts, I think it is getting there or it's there. Whereas in Power BI, as long as you are using a Microsoft data sources, Azure or SQL Server, or I think web authoring is there. But for non-SAP tools, it doesn't really give you a strong web authoring capabilities. That's why it has a check. Coming to the mobile and advanced, you can see that the differentiation starts to really show up. I think Power BI and Tableau are I would say almost mature in this category. Analytics Cloud is evolving, and they have a lot of the mobile things because of the Roam BI integration or a migration. They have a lot of the mobile BI items on their roadmap, and it's kind of a work in progress for Analytics Cloud. On the advanced analytics, so this is where, because Analytics Cloud is a much newer platform, it is built cloud first and more, the concept of intelligent enterprise. Analytics Cloud is able to bring the predictive components, the planning components, some of the things that the modern BI or the advanced analytics, they are able to bring that in as a holistic platform itself. So that's where they are able to score on par with Power BI and ahead on Tableau. So coming down to the conclusions, so again, I want you to keep in mind that your situation will change the rankings slightly, up or down, depending on what kind of data sources you have, what kind of contents you are looking for, what kind of user types you have. All of that will play a role. So from a generic case, you can clearly see Microsoft Power BI is ahead on most of the category, and Tableau comes right next, and Analytics Cloud is evolving. Doesn't mean they are far behind in a lot of areas, but you could see, and I'm very curious to see how much of a lead Microsoft can keep pushing, and can Tableau and Analytics Cloud catch up with it. It's going to be interesting, or is there going to be a completely a new one that's going to be able to challenge these three vendors and come ahead. So we have tried to kind of give you a short summary on self-service BI, traditional BI, the strengths of the tools, so it's easy for you to kind of digest what we just shared. We also try to put on a little decision tree depending on what exactly you are looking for, and then what are your options. And very simple, if you are looking to use a self-service BI tool in your Mac, and your only option is basically Tableau. Right now, there is no desktop client for Analytics Cloud. Power BI, there is a desktop client for Windows. So things like this are where this flowchart is going to be helpful. I wanted to, again, I know it's extremely constantly asked question by our customers. I touched on KMG Chemicals. This is one of our another customer in Houston, where they have gone with SAP Cloud Platform and they are gone with Analytics Cloud. Again, it is another somewhat of a greenfield. We established the data warehouse in the cloud, and we rolled out Analytics Cloud, and we are seeing a lot of success. So you can see Analytics Cloud is getting adopted by customers that are greenfield, that are going with S4 and a lot of that. So the new breed of customers that are going to be cloud first are adopting. So we wanted to bring some more new perspectives in terms of each of the tools. Microsoft has done a very, very good job in terms of really giving like a wave 1, wave 2, and the self-service BI scenario. I just wanted to kind of, for the audience, to use these as a best practices, and we have given the references on to where you can learn more. This is a self-service BI architecture. This is more of a traditional, where you can bring in the gateway in between for a live connection scenario. This is more if you want to do more modern BI, bring your HT Insight, your your advanced analytics, what kind of options do you have available with Power BI. We have placed it for your reference. And last but not the least, we constantly get these questions from most of our customers. So what we have done is we put a section. So this is right out of SAP Analytics Cloud website, and we have given some reference blogs as well. Something's easy, how the whole data integration to your live BW, live HANA, all of this is going to get laid out. With respect to Power BI, we have put in some best practices, and we have put in some of the aspects if you are a Power BI customer wanting to connect to SAP HANA. Similarly, on if you want to connect to BW, what are some of the things that you have to keep in mind? One thing I wanted to address is I have number of customers asking us, how do I have BW, how do I consume non-SAP tools? One of the easier ways to move to the modern B4 HANA, which is the SAP's modern data warehouse. They are recommending customers in BW or BW on HANA to move to a more B4 HANA as a data warehouse, which can help you connect to the tools more in a SQL manner, if not on the OLAP layer. So this does improve the connectivity and provide a better user experience for somebody that wants to use tool agnostic on the front end side. So same thing on Tableau. Some of the questions on performance do come quite often. So we can put some kind of some architecture. And again, we have exhaustive recommendations and study we have done. We are please reach out to us, and we can give some insights around if you want go deeper. Similarly, we have had customers that have some challenges on SSO, and I'm sure this can be achieved as well. So we wanted to kind of mention some of the things something that you have to keep in mind if you're running into Tableau to SAP integration SSO challenges. One thing is, like I said, we as an organization, we do number of these assessments, number of these workshops for customers where we come in, we review your landscape, we make some architectural recommendation and provide recommendations on the tool strategy, or the one that we did for the webinar, but it would be very customized for your situation. We are happy to offer that service to you. I did touch on VBI View. VBI View 2.0 release is coming out because most of the customers have multiple BI platforms, and they are always coming to us with the challenge, how do we consume all of the BI content in one platform and do a smart search? We are the only portal that provides automatic synchronization. Maybe there are other tools, but we are the only one that giving automatic synchronization. So let's say you have Tableau, Power BI, and business objects in your landscape, or even SAP Analytics Cloud, or even flat files. You can do a smart search. You can come into, so it searches across all the BI tools. So it's much easier. So you can use this for audit and usage, metadata repository, SSO integration where you have, so it can do, or even if you are doing a merger and acquisition, one organization is using business objects, another organization is using Tableau. A quick way to consolidate information is a tool like VBI View. And you can go to our website and do it. I wanted to also mention that we have a webinar on Analytics Cloud where we will be focused on very, very detailed advancements on Analytics Cloud with the latest release. It will be the next webinar. But I do also wanted to mention that we will be having a Tableau webinar specific to Tableau and SAP integration and some of the performance improvements. We will also be thinking about doing more specific Azure Power BI webinar, that they are all on the way. So I wanted to thank everyone. Before we take some questions, we have few minutes, and we did add some blogs on Tableau SAP in case anyone is having some questions or interest. So I will be opening up the questions right now. But please, if we are not able to take all the questions, but please hang in there. We will be, reaching out and responding. So we did have a question on Tableau to SAP. That's where BPC is a key data source. That's where these are very specific to a customer. Absolutely, we will have to take these questions offline. And we have the similar check questions from other customers that have BW and BPC that want to connect Power BI. So yes, we did not touch on Splunk. There is a question on Amazon QuickSight. Like I mentioned, Google Data Studio and Amazon QuickSight, they are more of evolving. they are probably very popular with customers that are using AWS Redshift or something, but we just don't see it in large enterprise customers on a consistent basis, not like something that threatens us the solo. That's why one of the reason we did not include Amazon QuickSight.
Yeah, a couple of things that I wanted to just cover with respect to Splunk and AWS QuickSights or even Spotfire tools is that these are all evolving tools, and obviously, like, they're moving at different paces in the Gartner quadrant. To keep this webinar very specific to our group of customers is where we narrowed down on these tools. But obviously, Google Data Studio, Splunk Analytics, AWS Quick Insights, all those things are will be there. Based upon our customer evaluations. If it's requested, we can do a custom evaluation for the customers. So just wanted to put it out there because a lot of other tools are also in the list, which I just saw right now.
I wanted to take one thing on QlikSense. Obviously, QlikSense is also a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. One thing we noticed with QlikSense and TIBCO Spotfire, they have also a very, very loyal customer base, but when we look at the rate of customer acquisition, Tableau seems to be, again, since they went private about a couple of years back, we don't have purview to QlikSense or Spotfire. But what we see, at least our observation is Tableau is talked more, or maybe Tableau is acquiring more places and all that. QlikSense and Spotfire are doing a good job of retaining their existing customer base, but we are just not seeing a strong momentum with both of them to acquire new customers. And that's one of the reasons we didn't, but both are very respected tools and they seem to be hanging on to their customers. I think one of the interesting question is that functionality difference between Power BI Cloud and Power BI Reports Server for on-premise. Is it, Varun, can you take that question?
Yeah, so the Power BI Report Server was actually introduced in order to facilitate existing Microsoft investments either in the form of SSRS or the whole Power BI suite. And so it provided us a common platform to integrate your existing Power BI investments along with your Power BI reports or convert them into or migrate them into Power BI. But eventually Microsoft best practice recommends that you go over to the cloud service. But there are obviously scenarios where you would want an on-premise investment, but they do have like a migration path where you can first go into a report server with an on-premise investment and later transition to the cloud as well. So that's what Microsoft recommends.
Okay, thank you. There is also one more question about on-premise Lumira Designer versus SAC's App Designer that is going to come out. I think the question is more from SAP Business Objects. Lumira Designer is part of the Business Objects suite, and SAP is releasing 4.3 release, which means Lumira Designer will be as supported and as priority for all the on-premise customers and investment as much as your Webby is. So you have to do not think of your Business Objects investment. As long as your Business Objects investment is supported, your Lumira Designer will be supported, and it is a fairly mature tool. But if you look at all the software vendors, they are all investing heavily with cloud-based platforms. So obviously there will be more noise, more talking points about a cloud product. Doesn't mean that on-premise is going away. On-premise is just not in fashion anymore. It's every customer wants to be cloud first. So just because vendors are talking cloud first doesn't mean on-premise is disappearing. There are a lot of customers because of security reasons or for various reasons, they continue to banking industry. There are pharma, they all want to be in on-premise investments. Those customers will continue to rely on business objects or their on-premise investments. So I don't think so. You have to be really worried. If the question is more as an organization, do you want to be cloud first or do you want to be on-premise? I think that should determine your strategy, whether you are going to continue to use Lumira Designer or you are going to switch to SAC App Designer. There is no right or wrong answer. It's more of a bigger strategy. Do you want to be using a cloud first tool or more of an on-premise, or continue to use your on-premise investments? Because these are both Webby or your Crystal Reports or your Lumira Designer, they're not going away. It's just they will be supported as part of your business objects, support stuff. From the essence of time, we try to address as many questions. I apologize, but we will gather responses and we will reach out to you by email, all the ones that, and we will also put it on our website. And I wanted to thank everyone for joining us for the webinar, and I hope you found this useful and was worth your time. Thanks everyone once again, and thanks Varun.